Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Sopan Deb, author of Mistranslations, Me and the Immigrant Parents Who Raised Me, and a writer for the New York Times and a comedian. I'm a huge fan of subtle curry traits. The memes are amazing. They make me feel seen, which is not common in culture. So I hope everyone follows and keeps consuming their content. What's up, everybody? My name's Sopan Deb, a comedian and writer for the New York Times. Thank you so much to Subtle Curry Traits for having me for this. I'm so excited. I'm the author of this book, Mistranslations, Me and the Immigrant Parents Who Raised Me. I'm going to tell you a story from the book as part of my set today, and hope you guys enjoy it. Who out there, I assume some of you do, have a brown parent that doesn't understand what they do for a living. And I'm going to tell you a story about my dad who never understood what I do for a living. My dad was born in India and he grew up there. I grew up in the United States. There was always a big cultural difference between us. He didn't know me, I didn't get to know him. And then when I was in my first year at college, which was at Boston University, my dad moved back to India where he grew up and didn't tell anybody. Totally true story. He just left and he just went back and he just didn't tell anybody. I became a journalist after that, and my dad, we kept in touch. He never understood what that meant. No matter how many times I explained to him, hey, Dad, I'm a journalist, my dad would never understand that. All right, so this story gets dark. I need whoever is watching this to stay with me. One of my first jobs in journalism was at Al Jazeera America. And one of the problems with Al Jazeera America is that everyone in the United States thought we were a terrorist group. People would be like, no, you got to change the name. You can't call yourselves Al Jazeera America. And I'd be like, no. Why do we have to change the name? Why do we have to bend to the racism and ignorance of other people? And then one day, I was shooting a story at a church in New York City. And this older white guy comes up to me. And he says, hey, what are you doing? And I say, hey, man, we're doing this story on this church right here. And he says, who are you with? I said, I'm with Al Jazeera America. He says, oh, Al Jazeera. Nice to see you guys doing something peaceful for once. And I said, oh, not with that attitude. Throughout this whole process, my dad never understood what it is that a journalist does. He never understood my job at Al Jazeera America. My next job after Al Jazeera was my dream job. I got to cover a political campaign for CBS. The candidate I was assigned was someone you might have heard of, Donald J. Trump. For a year and a half, I followed Donald Trump's campaign all around the country. Hundreds of rallies, more than 40 states. The question I get most from people, are Donald Trump supporters racist? And I'm going to give you the God's honest truth. And when I say God's, I mean that literally because I'm Hindu. The vast majority of Trump supporters were really nice to me. They were really warm to me. But there were some incidents. One time in Las Vegas, a guy comes up to me at a rally. He interrupts whatever I'm doing, and he yells at me and says, go back to Iraq, where you came from. I'm from New Jersey. I'm also a fact checker and a journalist. So I went back to him and I said, hey man, I'm not from Iraq. I'm from New Jersey. What you meant to say was go back to New Jersey, where you came from. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Another time in Reno, a guy comes up to me while I'm taking pictures of the line outside the Trump rally. There are always these long lines outside Trump rallies. I'm taking pictures of the line. A guy comes up to me, older white guy, he says to me, hey, what are you doing? Shooting photos for ISIS? This one upset me. Not just because of the racism, because I'm what? An intern for ISIS? Shooting photos. I'm at least middle management. Throughout the whole time, my father does not understand what I do for a living. He doesn't understand what a campaign journalist does, what a campaign embed does. Until March of 2016. March 11, 2016 is a night I've never felt my skin color as hotly as I felt it that night. Trump was scheduled to do a big rally in Chicago, which is an anti-Trump area. And he's supposed to do this rally inside this basketball arena. And already inside this arena, an hour or so before the rally is supposed to start, there are hundreds of protesters. And there are hundreds of protesters outside, too. And it's already kind of getting weird, getting kind of tense in there. The protesters are yelling at the supporters, and supporters yelling at the protesters. And then 30 minutes before the rally is supposed to start, Trump cancels the rally. And pandemonium breaks loose. And fights start breaking out between everybody. This spills to the outside, and I'm shooting these clashes between protesters and the police, until at one point, for no reason whatsoever, a police officer takes me from behind, throws me to the ground, puts a boot to my neck, and handcuffs me. And eventually, I get arrested and charged with resisting arrest, even though I didn't do anything, didn't talk to any cops or whatever. The best part about this is that Fox News took my arrest live. Okay, they take my arrest, and the video clearly shows that I didn't do anything wrong. This video ends up getting me off the hook. 2 days later, my charges get dropped. If Fox News knew that this video was going to get me off the hook, Fox News would not have run that video. That's a joke. That's a joke. As I always say, Fox News, my favorite network. But I still had to spend a couple hours in jail. I get out that night and the story has gone viral. It's all over Twitter, CBS News reporter arrested, my phone is blowing up, thousands of emails, texts, and calls. I call my bosses, give them my side of the story and tell them what happened, but I forgot to do something. I forgot to tell my family. I forgot to tell my parents what happened. I figured I'd take care of it sometime down the road. So I go to bed that night and I go to sleep. And I wake up and my phone is ringing and I see my dad's name on the caller ID. I pick it up. I go, hello? He goes, what happened? I said, oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. I was in Chicago and there were these protests. Hey, wait a minute. You're in India. How did you hear what happened? He goes, you're in every newspaper in India. My son's a star. And for the first time in my life, my dad understood what I did for a living. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are being safe in quarantine, and talk to you guys soon.
My name is Sal Khan, calling you from Doha, Qatar. I'm originally from Pakistan, lived my whole life in Doha, Qatar, and I'm a stand-up comedian, actor, and content creator. I hope you like my comedy. I really love subtle curry traits. It's good to know that there's a community of diaspora Desis all over the world living a similar life to me and having the same sense of humor as I have. And it's fun sharing the memes and all the funny stuff on the page. So I hope you like my comedy. Thank you.
Give it up for Trish, everybody! Good evening. And my name is Saad, and a few years ago I arrived new here in Qatar, and the first time I came into the airport, I had a friend of mine over there outside. His name was Mohammed. I came into the airport, I'm like, hey Mohammed, where are you? He's like, come outside, I'm wearing white toes. I'm like, okay. I go outside, I'm just look hundreds of white toes. Until I start calling out his name. Mohammed! Mohammed, 50 people turn around. Are you talking to me? Then he's like, don't worry, come outside, I have white Land Cruiser. I'm like, okay. Go outside. Finally, I meet this guy, he takes me to a football match. I'm like, okay, finally. I couldn't understand who was rooting for which team. Everyone was wearing white. Then he got me into football. I really loved the game. In Qatar, there are all these different commentaries you can choose from. So I started watching the game in English, like my preferred language. It was Messi has the ball, passes to Higuain, Higuain passes to Messi, Messi passes to Higuain. Oh my God, what a goal! And then the channel started switching off, so I switched to Mexican commentary. Messi, Leandre la pelota, de pase de Higuain, Higuain de pase de Messi, Messi de pase de Higuain, Higuain de pase de Messi, gol, 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 gol uno di partido, gol uno de Barça, gol uno de jugadores de la Argentina. And finally, I switched to the Arabic commentary. I was like, let's see what this is about. Messi, محاول كورة, تسديدة قوية, لكن جول! I'm like, damn, that guy had a heart attack. That wasn't just a goal, it was offside in the end. So I was working in the football industry over here. It's called the Football League of Qatar, and I was doing copywriting work. So I was writing for days, every day, and they hired this new guy, he's Indian. And the reason I'm telling you that, because Indians like to add extra words to every sentence, to every thing they're about to say. Instead of saying he stole it, which is 3 words, right? He stole it. Indians will say, he simply stole it himself only. He simply stole it himself only. He simply stole it himself only, it seems, by himself, by on his way. Like, what is going on? This guy was writing 300 words for a 100-word story. I was like, okay, he got my job. Then this other guy, he's Egyptian, so he didn't speak a word of English. He didn't speak a word of English, and the only way I could communicate with him was he would only say the words, is okay. That's the only thing he could say was, is okay. For everything. Hey man, I'm feeling really bad. It's okay, it's okay. Every 30 minutes silence in the audience, in the office, he would just look up, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. If he's feeling really angry, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I think he's like a serial killer at night. He just grabs someone, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So at work, I like to go out for cigarette breaks. I'm a heavy smoker. It's not that I'm heavy. I just smoke as well. So my boss is British. So she likes to say that Saad is going out for a fag break. Fag break? Like I'm gonna go outside, be gay for a few seconds, come back into the office, be all right. It was crazy, man. So, I like to see how people speak English from different backgrounds. So, I always, in university even, I used to look for professors from various backgrounds instead of just the regular white professor, right? I would look for someone exotic. In the class list, I was David, Mike, Paul, Mary, whatever. And then out of nowhere, I saw this name popping out, Kaveh Askari. Kaveh Askari. It's poetic. Its name sounds poetic. I was like, let's take this class. I know he's an Iranian American. Let's go. I'm Pakistani. We'll have a good time. I go into his class, come over there 15 minutes early instead of being 15 minutes late. I go inside, sit in this class. What's the name of the class? Okay, history of film. Very nice. Let's see what it's all about. I'm expecting in my head a professor who would just come inside, t-shirt all the way open till here. Hello, my name is Kaveh Askari. I will be your professor. Today we will talk about history of film. If you are Pakistani, don't need to study. We'll give you A+. No problem. But the thing is, when this guy came in, the first thing I saw was a Starbucks mug. Tweed jacket. Keeps going in, had the glasses on, perm. I'm like, oh man. He was like, hello, my name is Kev. I'm from Iowa. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to give it back to stage.
Hey y'all, my name is Janice Rolla. I am a stand-up comedian based out of San Francisco, and the clip I'm sharing is actually one of my stand-up clips right before Shelter in Place. A huge fan of the Curry Traits community because there's so few places where we have a common background where we can come together, laugh at the same jokes, and find it so relatable to a specific type of people and upbringing. And, that kind of unity and levity, especially in a time like this, is much needed.
Hell yeah, set up. My name is Janice Rolla. My Starbucks name is Ismail Al-Qasir. When I really want to mess with the baristas, I just tell them my name is Aladdin and I watch them get nervous. Last week, I had a barista be like, "Oh, like the movie?" And I was like, "What movie?" I am an Indian immigrant, like most of your coworkers. When my family first moved here, we moved to Texas, which was really tough because I used to be a really nerdy kid. And I know most of you don't believe me when I say that because I don't look like that now. Like now, I just look like a guy who sells cologne. I look like a police sketch of a Jonas brother. Random man comes to me on the street, he's like, "Hey man, do you know where the nearest Armani store is?" I don't work there, bro. But it's on Grant and O'Farrell. Yeah, I've lived in 7 states at this point. I gotta say, no place has more state pride than Texas. And for no reason at all. Because they're one hurricane away from becoming Alabama. People from Texas are obsessed with being called a real Texan, whatever that means, right? And in Texas, I would always get the question, "What type of Indian are you?" Which some people find offensive. I don't think so, because Indian people ask each other that shit all the time. Like, "What type of Indian are you, doctor or engineer?" I'm like, "I'm a comedian." They're like, "Oh, he's Mexican." And in Texas, they would ask you that. Now I know they meant, "Are you East Indian or Native American?" At the time, I thought they were asking, "What part of India are you from?" I was like, "I'm Punjabi." And they go, "Did this boy just say Pueblo? He's Mexican?" And they put me in ESL classes, or English as a second language. And the whole concept of ESL in Texas fucked up, because no one in that state speaks it well enough to be teaching it to other people. But I love my class, dude. It was me, 10 Mexican kids, 11 brown kids in one room. People thought we were the soccer team. It was awesome. And we got along super well because our cultures have so much in common. Like, we both come from big families. We both make awesome music. We both grow mustaches at an early age. Boys and girls. But what was messed up is I ended up learning more Spanish than English, but I still had an Indian accent. So I was going around school speaking Spanish in an Indian accent, like, "Hola, ¿cómo estás? Juan, todo bien? Okay, todo bien." So at the end of my first year in Texas, I spoke bad Spanish, bad English, and said offensive things about Native Americans. I was finally a real Texan. One of my fondest memories from living in Texas, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Bradford. Very sweet Southern woman, also very religious. She kept trying to convert me and my family to Christianity. My parents didn't like that because we're Hindu, so they wanted us to, know the prayers, avoid eating beef. But the week before that, I had my first bacon cheeseburger. I was like, "Let's hear this lady out, dude." These gospels are delicious. That's what I thought the body of Christ was for the longest time. I thought it was a bacon cheeseburger. I was like, "Holy shit, this is the body of your God? That's metal as fuck." No wonder you guys keep winning wars. And so she would bring these books on Christianity to our house, which were cool, but the real prize were these Christianity coloring books. Because I kept coloring Jesus brown, because that's historically correct, right? You're telling me a bearded man walking around the Middle East in a loincloth was white? Get the fuck out of here. It is 120 degrees in the summer in Jerusalem. How good do you think sunscreen was in biblical times? If Jesus was a white guy stranded in the desert, we would have had Burning Man a long time ago. You know, I'm not very religious, but I became a huge fan of Jesus through this entire thing because he was so bad at his day job that he became a life coach, and that is the most millennial shit you can do, dude. And we know he wasn't a good carpenter. That's why church pews are so uncomfortable. He can't even kick it at his own house. But he didn't like what he was doing, so with the support of his father, he became an influencer. It was just the first one. Fed 5,000 people with one fish. That's paleo. Never spoke in complete sentences, only idioms and parables. Those are memes, bro. Turned water into wine, said it had healing properties. That's CBD, old baby. Alright, that's it for me, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Vinit Mahedia. I live in New York City and I do stand up around here. Curry Trade is the funniest group I've been part of. I think for me, it made Facebook relevant again.
I am from the lowest caste called the Untouchables. We are considered so disgusting that nobody would even touch us. Kinda like how Americans treat their vegetables. And there are 200 million of us in India, right? So obviously there's some touching going on. Being an untouchable, you cannot eat butter. You can eat beef, but no butter. That's like saying no kissing, but anal? Go for it. Yeah, it's we are not allowed in Hindu temples. We can't enter Hindu temples. And as a kid, it really bothered me. Right? But on a bright side, I never got molested.